President Obama, in his speech to the nation, calling on Americans to contact their congressmen to demand both sides reach a compromise. Now, many congressional websites are reportedly crashing due to high volume and switchboards are overloaded. Joining me now from inside the Beltway, Democratic Congressman Rob Andrews of New Jersey and Republican Congressman Tim Johnson of Illinois. Gentlemen, hello to both of you. And first, Congressman Andrews, to you. Have you been fielding a lot of calls this morning?
Yeah, we have. They started last night after the president's speech, and the phones are ringing off the hook. I'm hearing one basic thing, that the country's in real trouble. People are either looking for work or they're afraid to lose the job they have. They see the connection between this deficit and debt crisis and that, and they want us to work together and fix it, and I think we will.
Certainly. Okay, Congressman Johnson, same question to you. Is your website flooded, your phone lines flooded? What's going on?
Yeah, we can agree on that.
Okay.
I think we both have had, and we certainly have had a lot of communication in our office, sending essentially the same message that we've got to do something about this, as business as usual doesn't work. I think the overwhelming message that I've gotten as I've talked to people in my district and really around the state over the last few months is that we're strangling in debt and that we've got to do something about it, and this is the opportunity. That's the message that my constituents are giving me, and the one that I believe is applicable to today.
Well, Congressman Johnson, I'm sure a lot of folks are asking both of you, it's time to compromise. It's time to work together and get this deal done. Many Americans are nervous about the debt ceiling not being raised by the deadline. Congressman Johnson, let me just stay with you real quick. You have in the past come out firmly against any increase when it comes to the debt limit. You voted consistently since 2005. Do you think, though, that now is the time that there's going to have to be compromise between the two parties to get the debt ceiling raised?
I'm the chairman of the Center Aisle Caucus, or co-founder here in D.C., and that's our focus, is reasonable compromise and ability to work together. And I agree. I think that's a theme that we ought to pursue. However, that can't be done at the expense of America. It can't be done to the extent of a national debt that is overwhelming us. It can't be done at the extent of a debt that shows debt and deficit that show no signs of abating.
Congressman Andrews, I mean, you have indicated in the past that it's got to be about reconciliation, and you've made several statements to that regard. But at the same time, there's a lot of folks that worry that the government is spending too much and that the issues of the entitlement programs is not being correctly addressed. Yet, are you willing to go to the bargaining table at the end of the day here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think the two sides are a lot closer together than the mainstream media would report. Both sides have suggested about the same amount of cuts in the annual program spending, over $1 trillion, including defense. I think both sides are willing to do something on entitlements. Medicare, for example, I don't favor the Ryan plan, but I do favor a plan that would say that Medicare should be able to negotiate prescription drug prices instead of just taking whatever the companies want to offer, which would save maybe $300 billion over 10 years. I think both sides, the taxes are the sticking point. And look, I think that if we're going to have $3 worth of spending cuts, we'd have $1 worth of revenue increases. And I think it should come from closing the corporate loopholes, flattening the corporate tax rate, and making it more fair.
I have a question for Congressman Johnson. There was a new ABC News Washington Post poll that came out that showed that a significant majority of Americans, 54%, say they've been forced to change their lifestyle significantly as a result of the current economic times, and 60% of them flat out say they are angry. That's up already from 44%. What message do you think you need to send to the voters, to your electorate, to show that you're taking it seriously and that you have a plan to do something about this debt ceiling and the economic crisis?
You can add me to the 60%, and I assume Congressman Andrews as well. We've got to get something done. However, I want to emphasize that we already have gotten something done. We passed legislation in the House that curtails, in fact, reduces spending. It caps for future years now and for the future spending as a percentage of GDP. And it kicks in what I think we should have dealt with on a common sense level a long time ago, and that is the concept that you shouldn't spend more than you bring in, which is a fundamental household concept that the Congressman and I both share, and I think is just as applicable to government as it is to as to individuals' households. We do need to get something done, but it's got to be done wisely.
Before I let either of you go, I do want to ask you real quick, and I'll start with Congressman Andrews from New Jersey. Congressman, we're asking our viewers today if they think it was appropriate that the president took to primetime television to basically once again discuss what has come down to a partisan fight. Do you think that there's any way that this could maybe backfire a bit on the president, Congressman Andrews?
No, I think that both he and the speaker were right in going before the American public and laying out their respective cases. I think that adds to the debate. Now we got to stop debating and start voting and come up with a plan that can reduce the deficit, raise the debt ceiling, create the environment where entrepreneurs can create jobs for the American people.
You both agree on a lot of things. We hope that Congress can come together and agree on a deal, certainly. Gentlemen, thanks to both of you, Democratic Congressman Rob Andrews of New Jersey and, of course, Republican Congressman Tim Johnson of Illinois.